are two emotions that I have waged war with my entire life. I'm just like, what is this?
I understand. Like, I can relate. I think every person that is going to step out and be like in the light or whatever is going to have to face fear and face all that. But you're going to just, I remember one of my like mentors said once when I was like, I'm afraid to do it, she was like, do it afraid. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna do it
Well,
afraid. And so that's been like my motto. Like, it now looks like, oh, I'm this person that gets stuff done. But trust me, in the background, sometimes I say it, I have to still say, no, if I can do it afraid, right? Sometimes you now have the thoughts that's coming to you telling you, who told you you have authority to talk about this? Like this mental health issue. I'm sure if it was before, it would have been like, who told you you had authority to talk about this? What do you want to come and say? Or what do you have to say? You know, there's that low self-esteem issue too that comes and tells you, what do you have to say? Who told you that what you have to say? Who even told that anybody will join this life?
yeah,
Like it's just like thoughts. But if you keep thinking about that, you're not going to do anything. When others start YouTube too, it was like, YouTube, really, you want to come and talk about that? Who's going to subscribe to your channel? But you have to remember that it's not, sometimes it's not even about you, it's about the one person that you will change the person's life by living.
yeah.
That is another thing. Think about Kenneth Hagin. That is Kenneth Hagin. If Kenneth Hagin took his life something years ago, if you've read the story of Kenneth Hagin, he was sick for a long time and he had to wage war with fear, wage war with the world to now become healed. So if you are giving up, then how many years later we won't read all the books, learn everything about him? So you must always know that your life is so important. I know that it's hard, and fine, we understand, but then we should also tell ourselves the truth. That's why we're here, right? To just tell each other the truth. And so just remember that your life is important to someone in the future. Now you might feel like nobody cares about you, but the future you will thank you for staying back with us on earth. And so when I just hear of believers that took their life, what I see is people that have lost hope. Do you see that?
Yeah, and in that place, you're not automatically thinking, who cares about me? Who need? I think that this is off tangent to an extent, but I genuinely have been thinking about, why things like having suicidal thoughts and being in this place is the problem. And I think it's a selfishness thing. And I'm not saying it to tell you you're selfish, don't be selfish. I'm saying that ultimately at the root of the emotion, it's a myself. This is how I'm feeling. This is how everybody's reacting to me. This is what, at the root of it, you realize that you're front and center. And like you said, if you're able to look out of yourself, you're able to see, I don't know if this has ever happened to you. So you're going through something and you're now trying to gist somebody about it. And you're talking about me and that's like, it's not even that big a deal. Because sometimes when you're in your own bubble, your pain has a way of magnifying itself and making itself look bigger than it actually is. So being able to step out of that bubble is so, and that's why I always tell people, speak to someone. I don't know, it might not even be what the person says, it might be in the process of you talking and you realize this thing is not even, it doesn't have the power
that example
that
you gave
that it has.
Okay, that example you gave actually happened to me just last week. I was just talking to the person, I was like, gosh, I have to do this and do that, and I'm just feeling, and then when I was saying it, it was like I just got the solution. I was like, in fact, no need. I'm just
Exactly.
like, you just get it. So yeah, you're so right.
It's true.
Okay, so let's talk about empathy. Like, let's just round this up with
my favorite.
What is it? Do you feel that a lot of believers are not empathetic?
Yes.
Towards others?
Yes. I say yes very well because especially because I'm somebody who is I'm very emotional. Like, I'm very in touch with my emotions. When I have a fight with you, I'm the kind of person that'll tell you I know why I felt what I felt. So I'm very in tune with my emotions, and I remember feeling out of place for a long time because I felt like the people that I was seeing, or people that I was speaking to, had it all figured out, I had it all put together, and I felt like, bruh, I'm feeling everything. And it was hard for me to admit to another person, oh, I'm scared. It was hard for me to admit to another person, oh, I'm not having great thoughts, because somewhere in my mind I had placed emotions as a bad thing. It wasn't up until the Holy Spirit led me to David, and I always say this, like, if you read Psalms, and I know he didn't write all the Psalms, but if you read some of the books that David wrote, it's so chaotic, because in the beginning he's like, oh God, you are wonderful, this is how I love you. And in like verse 4, he's talking about scatter my enemies, look at them, they're prospering, me, I'm not prospering. Why do the wicked gain and the evil? I'm just like, guys, your focus. Isn't that so?
But then he will come back.
If you read some of the Psalms, you see, it feels like he's going on a tangent. But what I was able to see through that is somebody who was brutally honest with God, who was able to say, this is where I am and this is what I'm feeling. I said it with no filter. And I feel like if the Christian community had more of that, more of a place where I know I can say, this is where I am and this is what I'm going through, a lot of us will grow. Because now what's happening is a lot of people are walking around with scars they're too afraid to show. And because they're in that place, we now have more injured people hurting people. So I feel like we don't, I mean, to a certain extent, some communities have hacked this. And so I don't want to outrightly say, hey, there's nobody that has empathy. I know some communities that I've heard people say, when I went to so and so place, I felt welcome. When I went to so and so place, I felt warm, I felt loved. There are some communities that have hacked it, but I feel like we still have a long way to go. I remember my mom called me like 2 weeks ago, and especially with the older generation, my mom called and she was like, you know, her friend's daughter, something that she'll be locking herself in the room. She doesn't know what's happening, that she says she's depressed. What kind of thing is depression? I said, Mommy, this is the reason why she would never, you know, open up. Because you people have, from the get-go, bashed her feelings. So you tell somebody, oh, I'm not feeling fine. You say, what's wrong with you? I remember the first time I said, oh, Mommy, I'm not feeling too. She said, come on, go and wash plates. Do you understand what I'm saying? So especially with people, I mean, people in our generation now, we have more knowledge, we have more information. And yes, there's still some ignorant people in our generation. But like, I mean, even grown-up people, we have the tendency to, it's two things. We have tendency to say what's on our mind, immediately it comes to our mind. And number two, because we don't feel certain things, we don't understand that not everybody processes the world the way we do. And so not everybody will see things the way we do. And we have to be open to embracing that, understanding that some people will be slower to come to this, and some people will struggle more than you have struggled. And it's okay to say, okay, I might not get it entirely. I might not see the way you're saying. I might not understand where you are, but I'm here with you. I'm here for you where you are. And I think that we need more of that, because if we had more of that, more people will be talking. More people will be saying, more people will be talking.
And you are very right. You're very right. Because I realized that even as a person before, I wasn't so empathetic towards people. Like, I could be like, really, they're depressed, really. Better cast and bind the demons.
Hey, my own was with people that were in toxic relationship. I used to be like, come on, really? I couldn't fathom why somebody would be in a place where you are hurting and you are still there. Until it was me. I just said, favor, see your life outside.
That's the thing, like, you don't get things until it's there. That's why now I'm like, I'm more like, if you tell me something, I'm like, even if I can't relate, I'll still like, okay, walk me through it. Let me understand your point of view. That's why even on my Insta story, I'm always like, let me understand your point of view, even if I can't relate. Because the fact is, everybody has different point of views and the way they see things. I'm more emotional. Fact is, I'm not that emotional.
Me, I'm 100. It is emotional.
So I can relate.
So good.
So I try to help, like, I try to now see things from other people's view and be like, okay, this is what you're feeling. I try to say, okay, walk me through it. Let me understand your point. And it has really, really helped me to other people. This does not mean I don't cry or any of that, but like, when I say I don't relate with some emotional issue, like, you know, some people, any small thing they can start crying. That's not me. Do you get? So So I had to learn that it's not just even with depression and everything. As believers, this is mental health. That's why I did not use depression. I use mental health because it's encompassing of everything, right? As believers, we have to have empathy towards people and just, be emotionally intelligent, right? When people say that, oh, this is happening, like, okay, try to help and see from their point of view, even if you don't get it, right? It's very, very important. And that way people will be able to come back to talk to you. But if people cannot relate with you, people cannot talk to you when there's issue, then we are not doing a good job. This is not even to throw stones. And naturally, it's natural for us to say, oh, the church. But we are the church, and in our own space, we can do better for other people. So yes, even if organized religion or the old time guys have not done what they were supposed to do, we can decide that, okay, I'm going to be a better friend to my friend. I'm going to check on my friend. I'm going to, look at them. So I don't want to drag the matter too much. That's just it. Let's just be more empathetic towards people. I think I've covered. Okay, yes. So I've talked about how we should always remember to go back to God and remember that God loves us. Like, His love is so overwhelming, right? He's not the one we're not the one chasing after Him. As much as we think, oh, I'm a God chaser, I'm chasing after God. Fam, He's the one chasing after us. Like, He came down because of us. So don't feel that you are doing too much or you're not meeting up to God's standard or whatever. Always remember to go back to your daddy because you're Abba's baby girl and Abba's baby boy, right? So we should always remember that God's love is so overwhelming and He loves us too much. So don't feel whatever you're feeling is valid, right? Your feelings, but as a believer, you are not led by your feelings. Remembering that I'm not led by my feelings always keeps me in check.
It's so key.
Like, anytime I remember that, I'm like, no, Fadekemi, you're not led by your feelings. Get up. And then I get up. So every time you remember that you're not led by your feelings, you would actually make a better decision.
That's what you were saying. I wanted to share, there was this particular time, I think that's the lowest I've been. At that point in time, I was legit having suicidal thoughts. I was unhappy with God. And I had said, because I felt like I was in a situation that I felt like He could have, aren't you all seeing? Aren't you? I prayed about this. Why is this happening? And I remember I hadn't read my Bible in like almost a week, almost 2 weeks. I hadn't prayed. I was, and then I remember sleeping, and I had this dream where it was like, in the Bible where it talks about the prodigal son, and you see the father, he lifts up his garments and he's running, and it was a perfect picture where God was saying. I remember in the dream, it was like the old man, he lifted up his garment and he was running, and he was like, come home, I'm glad you're here. So that it's a picture I always have of God's love, where I feel like He's a down to earth God. He's the kind of God who will come down to earth, and he will literally lift up his garment and get in the dirt.
Don't leave us.
Don't leave me. And he will get in the earth, get in the dirt with you, and he's saying, I'm here. Whatever it is you're feeling, I felt it. And Hebrews talks about how we have a high priest who has felt, who is in touch with emotion. And that's why Jesus came. So we have somebody who can relate. It's not just, oh, this is God now. We have somebody who really can relate. And I think it's important because it helps our mindset. When you understand that God can relate, and you understand that He gets where you're coming from, and you understand that even though He gets you and He just wants to hug you, it makes you know that the feelings that you're feeling they're not a crime.
Out of place.
They're horrible. And so you're not drowned by feelings of guilt or shame. Or remember how Kuriga was coming and thinking, God, you had already calculated this. And so you just come to God defensive and calculating, like, okay, you're now, so when you're praying, you're saying, God, but this thing was really painful. So it's like you're trying to show God why you have every right to feel what you're feeling. And God is saying, I know that you want to, I know that this hurts. I know that this is painful. I know how you feel, but I want you to let me love you through it. Love is one of the most spoken about words. It's because there's something inside that love. It's such a transformative I'm not say emotional, but it's such a transformative thing when someone loves you and love, because God's love, not just someone. God's love can change, and proof of that, like God's love will change entirety. I remember then, because then, like you said, I wasn't as grown up as I am now in what I know about God. And I remember just feeling so alone. I remember God will literally, I think about it all the time. Like he could have left me and said, oh, who cares about you? I have many more souls. But you think about how God says he left the 99 to chase the one. I understand that, because I was literally, sometimes I'm walking on the road, random people will literally stop and say, God told me to tell you this. It's such a beautiful thing, because I always say, like, words of knowledge will always be beautiful to me, because God interrupted somebody's day just to reach it to you.
You know that David example you gave? That's the thing about David. Even though in the beginning he'll talk about God and he'll complain, but you see at the end, I think it was one of those Psalms that he was really down. He would come back to the love again and say, but I know you got me. I know that you love me. Like, that's how I roll. Exactly. I just remember that God got me and I'm fine. And that's always so. Every time I remember that, I'm just like, God, I trust you. So I want us to wrap this up, right? I know we can just keep going and going. But yeah, like if you're watching this and you are just feeling some type of way, just remember God's love and able to come. I feel like a lot of people, yes, you might not find the strength, but please just try and just, open up to your daddy. He's your daddy, right? We've already spoken about how, don't allow it to become big before you sort it out. From the beginning, let's cut it off. I feel like if all of us are more mentally aware and we are focusing on ourselves, our space, cutting off people that, okay, we don't do cancel culture in Christianity, but like you have to actually be in a safe space. You might be friends with people from a distance, right? If the person is not really good for you, it'd be good to like separate yourself, right? And just, staying sane is so important. And just really deepen the love of God, because the love of God is what's going to really get you out of depression. You can do you know there are people that do therapy and still they don't get well, right? So don't think that the therapist is the person that has the solution. It's not. God is helping those people. So you have to know. So yes, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. I just trust that God is going to, make this message enlarged in your heart. Thank you so much, Oreva. If you need anyone to talk to, you have any Bible question, you are going through everything and you just need someone to pray with, you can always, send me a DM and send Oreva to Oreva, right?
Send a DM.
Yeah, okay. Yes. All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Oreva.